This show is part of the Subculture Podcast Network. For pop culture and entertainment podcasts, go to bio.link/subculturepodnetwork. Prepare to be entertained.
Squirrel! Squirrel! There he is.
There are squirrels about.
There are squirrels. It is squirrel mode time.
It is squirrels everywhere.
When you tag, we are squirrel mode.
Squirrel mode. I got my drink for squirrel mode. So.
All right, I got my water. All right. So welcome. If you are new, this is Rebel Rock Radio. You're probably not new, but welcome back. This is episode number 179. We are getting closer to 200. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And who do we have in the chat? So Matthew was in the chat, but I think he's got some school stuff going on, so I don't think he's going to be with us for long if he is still with us.
Yeah, I think he said he's going to pop back in here after a bit.
Okay. Spencer's in the chat with us. So welcome back, Spencer.
Spencer.
CEO Star Wars Non-Toxic Alliance is with us. So welcome back.
Welcome back.
And Steve Spawn is with us. So welcome back, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
And he is so far the only person that has responded to my Patreon message with their address so that I can send them some goodies. Got some goodies to send them.
Gonna be missing out.
Yeah. It's all right. They'll answer eventually. So, all right, tonight we are on the second part of our Spirit of Star Wars series. Oh man, I forgot to put the little hang on, I'm uploading it. There we go. Spirit of Star Wars. We are in our second part of the Spirit of Star Wars series. Now, for those of you that saw the title back when we first announced it, it was going to be all about the Jedi tonight. It is still going to be all about the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
However, we decided after doing much of our research, it is going to take more than one episode to talk about the Jedi. So tonight, the main topic is the origins of the Jedi. And we might get into something else if we've got the time. But we've got a lot more to talk about with the Jedi in general. So,
and don't worry, we're going to break this up into probably a couple episodes of Jedi, and then next comes the Sith.
Of the Sith, yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamie Lee just jumped into the chat. So,
okay, so real quick, I'm going to get this out of the way because if I don't, I'm going to get shot in the face.
Uh-oh.
And normally, Steve, you ask me about my weekend. So let me tell you about Mr. Jamie Lee and a little bit about my weekend. Real quick. I know, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. So anyway, I want to give, real quick, I want to give a shout out to some of the guys that I this weekend, I did a lot of playing of DayZ, of Hell Let Loose. For any of you people who have PlayStations, you understand just the games I'm talking about. I did a lot of that this weekend. And Mr. Jamie Lee is from across the pond. He lives in England. One of the fine gentlemen that I got a chance to play a lot with this weekend. And he's part of a crew of guys that I run with on DayZ. So Big Red, Orion, Mr. Jamie Lee here, and let's see, Mr. Spetsnaz, Kenny, couple guys, one guy from the Netherlands, another guy, can't remember exactly where he's from, but they're from all across the pond over there. Good bunch of guys that I played DayZ with, and I was told that I need to give them a shout out because if I didn't, I was going to get shot in the face in DayZ. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and being shot in the face in DayZ is a bad thing because if you get shot and you lose all your gear and you got to go find all of it, it tends to be a little bit of a task if anybody has ever played DayZ. So,
alrighty then.
Yeah. So hello to the DayZ boys, to MK Ultra, and the guys from Shadow Company.
Very cool. As I said, we are going to be talking about Jedi tonight, and we will also have, as always, some sweet jams. So if you've never seen the show before, we do talk about Star Wars, but we also play music, much like a kind of like a radio show,
But it's music we probably have not heard a lot of, or if you have, you've got to be in those spaces.
Yeah. So most of the music that we play on here are from bands you are very unlikely to have ever heard of, and that is a purpose that I like to serve, is playing music from bands that are underappreciated and mostly unheard of, and deserve a lot of love and a little bit of a shout out to get them out there and get people to hear their music. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
We are going to jump in with the first song. And speaking of across the pond, this band is from Devon, United Kingdom. I don't know where that's at, but I know where United Kingdom is, but I don't know where Devon is. The band is called Arizona Law, and they just put out an album a couple of weeks ago it's been more than a couple of weeks ago. It was June 28th. So kind of a few weeks ago. The name of the album was Have You Tried Not Being Sad? And the song that we are going to play from that album is called Misuse and Misunderstanding. So here we go. Here it is. Enjoy.
Showing signs of decay.
All right. That was Misuse and Misunderstanding by Arizona Law. No, Matthew said he could hear it. That's weird. JD couldn't hear it.
I heard it on the YouTube. I heard it on the YouTube stream, but I couldn't hear it in the StreamYard. So that's okay.
Okay.
Sounded like a pretty good song. I mean, and once I got to hear it, it was a good, very good song.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's a good album. Funny thing is, I had another song picked from that album to play, and then like 10 minutes before the show, I was listening to that album. I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute! I'd rather play this song." So I did some scrambling, and that's really weird that you weren't able to hear it, though. Very odd.
Who knows?
So, as I said, those guys are from Devon, United Kingdom. And that was from Have You Tried Not Being Sad? All right. If you're just tuning in, this is Rebel Rock Radio, episode number 179. We're going to be talking about the origins of the Jedi tonight. We have some more music coming up for you. And we have some show and tell time coming up. And then eventually we will get to talking about the Jedi. And we will also be sharing some responses from social media. I went out on social media and asked, who is your favorite Jedi? And we did get one voicemail, which I will play later. And then I will share the responses that we got from the posts on social media. So, what else have you been up to this week?
Well, Mother Nature tried to pull the stopper out on me this morning.
Yeah.
We had 60-mile-an-hour winds in Wichita, and I had to work some storm work over there, even though I actually work in east of there, in a little town east of there. But I had to go to Wichita and work today. They had some pretty bad storms, and they did everything they could to keep me, and I said, not going to. So, but other than that, it's just been, it just seems like it just gets busy, but what I'm doing is just mostly, like I said, this weekend was video games. Saturday was crazy. Spent most of the day in front of the PlayStation playing PlayStation games, and hooked up with a bunch of really good dudes, really good crew of guys that some of the guys I had already played with, and we already had a faction together. But we had some new guys come in, and they're helping us. They're helping us build a new area and a new base, and our old one got assaulted, and basically we spent the weekend having a good time, just going back and forth with other people and just doing having some good fights and just some fun game moments. I got none of my home improvement projects done because I was playing PlayStation all day long, which is obvious, and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it was a good stay-at-home weekend, and this is a good stay-at-home weekend. Friday, I had to travel to a town, one of the college towns north of us, for where K-State is housed. We got our international TSA check-in, so that way we could go to Japan for celebration with a minimum of fuss, which worked out very well, and
very cool.
Did some good stop-offs. I love, one of the things I think is pretty cool that I think people should do more of is that if you have small towns near you, this is a prompt for any small town wherever you may be. If you have small towns near you that you've never visited before, you see them on the map and you go, I've never heard of that place, I don't know what's there. Find out what's there and go there and take a look, and just, if you have a day off, travel to a couple little small towns. It's kind of a fun little day road trip to go to some of these small little places, see if they have little mercantiles, or if they have little coffee shops, if they have little places to eat. Some of the best places to eat are in some of these little small towns that you would never think of visiting, that you would go, I don't even know what's there. Go find out. Because we went through a bunch of little small towns in the back roads of Kansas and had a beautiful drive through the Flint Hills of Kansas. And yes, Kansas has hills. For anybody who doesn't know, yes, Kansas has hills. Everybody says it's flat as hell. No, they actually have Flint. They actually have hills. And some of it was a very beautiful drive. We stopped off in some little small towns to check out some things, had some great conversation with local people, stopped into some little shops, sat down at this local brewery that brewed its own beer and its own whiskey, and had some great spins on what you would find in your local big town breweries and bars. but they put their own spin on it with their own liquor and their own things and spirits that they distill. And you won't find these things unless you actually branch out and you go to these places and you get a chance to visit these people and talk to the people in small towns and things like that. So I highly encourage it. If you get a chance to do it, because that's what we did Friday on our way up, because it literally took us 2 hours to drive up to where we needed to go to do this thing. It took us 30 minutes because we spent so much time visiting and joking around with the lady at the TSA, who was friendly as hell, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then turn around, drive back, and do the same thing all over again. We just took the time. We stopped at a couple small towns and did a few things and had some great conversations and met some great people. And yeah, if you get bored on the weekend, you don't want to spend a lot of money. It doesn't cost you but a little bit of gas to go to a few of these places. Check them out. Usually some of the best food and best company you'll find in these little hole-in-the-wall places that you didn't know existed. And you'll be like, I want to go back to that place again and visit with those people and be a regular fixture there because they're so nice. So I highly encourage it. And yes, Matthew, I do live in a smaller town, but our town it's not I mean it is smaller town, but it's not like small town. I mean, we still got some good modern conveniences here, and even if you come to a place like where I'm at, there's great people to visit. There's some good little hole in the wall little coffee shops and eateries and things like that. So yeah, I highly encourage it. Try it sometime. Just get bored, drive out there, check it out. Drive to another place, check it out. Keep an eye out on the map. And a lot of these places are small town businesses owned by private people. They're not big corporations. They're not, they're not owned by rich millionaires and billionaires and things like that. They're people that are just local people that just are trying to sell something they're good at, or do something they're good at, or make good food for people. And you'll find some of the best food out there if you go to these places. So I highly encourage it.
Very cool.
What about you, Steve?
Let's see. What did I do this week? I went and saw Deadpool again. So that's.
Did you catch anything this time that you missed last time? Well, last 2 times?
Actually, remember the conversation that we had where I was talking about I don't know if I would call it an epiphany, but the theory that I had after watching it for the 3rd time, because remember I tried to call you.
Yeah.
And then the whole, because I wanted to get it out while it was fresh in my mind. So I didn't really catch anything new, but something at the end just kind of like jumped out at me. And for those of you that aren't on the Discord and did not get a chance to have this conversation with me, so at the end, Deadpool and Wolverine restore Deadpool's timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to go extinct. It still exists. Now, technically, the Deadpool universe is the Fox X-Men universe, meaning that timeline still exists. So what jumped out at me about that is, okay, so Kevin Feige has said multiple times in the past that he doesn't know how he's going to bring mutants into the MCU.
And I have a thought on that too.
They're already there.
Yeah, I have a thought on that too.
It's just a new timeline. So what I think is going to happen, depending on the MCU's timeline and how all this is going to play out, they could, in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, merge the timelines to where the Fox X-Men timeline and the MCU timeline are combined. Meaning, theoretically, we could still get like a Michael Fassbender Magneto, a James McAvoy Professor X, and so forth and so on. Now, I mean, granted, we're talking several years out, so I don't know if these actors would still want to play those roles, but in theory, that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's the epiphany that I had, because I got your message about that. We talked a little bit about it on Discord.
Yeah.
I got your message about it. Here's the epiphany that I had about that concerning that whole situation. What if, and past history, what if him saying he can't figure out how to bring the X-Men into the MCU is just a red herring? What if he already knows how he's going to do it?
He already knows, yeah.
But he's throwing people off. He's trying to throw people off to kind of keep under wraps what they're really doing to bring the X-Men into the MCU.
So here's the thing: we weren't sure how he was going to bring the Fantastic Four in, because it was like, well, they've technically been around all this time, so where were they? And so now they're bringing in the Fantastic Four, but that's in a different timeline.
Right.
So,
but like I said, I think he's fibbing. That's my theory. I think he's fibbing. I think they know how to do it. I think they already have a script ready. I think they already have the idea of how they're going to do it. And I think Deadpool's going to have something to do with it, especially with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. I think they're going to figure out a way to do it using that as the basis to bring the X-Men into the MCU. But I think he's fibbing about it. I think they know.
He thinks that Feige's just messing with us, and that's fine. If that is what the case is, that's fine. I would be fine either way. I just I like the idea that we might get some of the Fox X-Men. There's really only a handful of actors that I would like to see him bring back, if that's what he's going to do. Because some of them, like a lot of the casting for those X-Men movies was pretty awful. But
I like Fassbender. I liked
I love Fassbender.
Yeah, I liked X-Men First Class. Those guys. I like that casting. That casting was pretty good.
Yeah, those were good.
Yeah, but I mean, when they first did it, when they first brought the X-Men to the big screen, it was like, I mean, they weren't bad, terrible movies, but I just don't think it was handled quite correctly.
Well, that first run that started in 2000, some of the casting was good. Most of it was crap. So Spencer says they're currently writing the script for X-Men. Rumor I've heard it'll be a mix of well-known and smaller characters. And I say I have not seen that anywhere. I would like to see some information about that. Because outside of Star Wars, X-Men is like my thing. Man, I like the X-Men very much. I've been writing reviews. I write stuff for a site called Future of the Force, which you would think is all Star Wars, but it's not. It's mostly Star Wars, but they talk about other stuff. So I write reviews on, like, the X-Men comic book series just restarted. It's not a reboot. It's just a relaunch and kind of a sequel to the Krakoa stuff. But I've been writing reviews for that. And me and Spencer, so far, Spencer, we've only recorded one. No, we've recorded two, but only one of them has been released. Is that right? I can't remember. Anyway, point being, I watched Deadpool again. Squirrel. Back to that.
Squirrel. Where's my drink?
What else did I do?
Where's my drink?
I finished reading the Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising book. Finished that one. And I decided that my next read is going to be a Legends book. And so earlier today, I started reading a book where I'm not sure why I never read this before. Like, why am I just now getting to it? But I'm reading Revan.
Oh, okay.
So like, why am I just now getting around to reading this? But yeah, so I started the audiobook there. What else? I if you can't see, maybe I've got my posters back up, so I've been doing the interior decorating again, and I also, my wife had a bookshelf in her office that she was getting rid of and didn't want in there, so I took it. And I'm using it for, if you can kind of see there in the corner, there we go, right there. I'm using it for my Funko Pops, which I don't really have a whole lot of, but I did take a picture because it's very hard to see those. But there's my Funko Pop bookshelf. I definitely use more Funko Pops. And I got my 2 Outer Rim games there because I couldn't figure out where else to put them. Anyway, so there's my there. So that's what I've done. And look at you. Yes. Answer your question, Spencer. Yes, I did like Chaos Rising. I just wanted to take a break from Thrawn, which is why I did not start right away with the next book, which is Greater Good or Lesser Evil. Shit, I don't remember. It's one of those. Okay, so Spencer says that the review show that he and I did for Dingus Den of Uncanny X-Men #1 will be out Friday-ish.
Mm-hmm.
What's Matthew saying here? The OU football season, blech, who cares, kicks on August 30th. Steve. I will not be busy. I'll be busy staying in my house.
Steve. Please don't say that to my girlfriend.
Oh, I told her a couple weekends ago when I was up there.
Please don't say that to her, because yeah. That we don't speak ill of OU in the house because we don't want crazy to come out.
Okay.
I just don't do it. It's safer that way.
I mean, generally we don't talk about them at all. We just don't mention them. Because
that's probably best.
Neither I nor my wife like them. Which is, at least in her case, is kind of ironic because she graduated from there. Hey, Baldo, how's it going there, dude?
Baldo, hey, buddy,
welcome back. Yeah, I don't care about college football.
I had to buy my girlfriend a stress ball so that way she wouldn't, to make sure that she didn't throw it at the TV.
Yeah.
Because when she's watching OU football, she gets upset. It's like, please don't throw the controller at the big expensive TV. That would not be good.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to the movies and saw Deadpool and rearranged the room a little bit. I still got a lot of work to do, actually. Mm-hmm. Did some more reading, comic books, stuff like that. Watched TV. What was I watching when we last talked? I think I was still watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Well, I'm finished with that. I'm done with that. So I started watching, what am I watching now? Community.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
I don't remember what channel it was originally on, but it had, it's not a show anymore, but it had Chevy Chase on it. Man, it had another somewhat famous actor. I don't remember. Anyway, CEO Star Wars Non-Toxic Alliance, says NBC, which makes sense because I'm watching it on the Peacock app. Anyway, yeah, I'm watching that, and I think I'm in season 4. I don't know how many seasons there were, but it kind of feels like it's about to wind down, so maybe this is the last season. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I do need to start my rewatch of Rebels soon because October is going to be coming up pretty soon.
Yes, I need to do that as well.
We got to do our Rebel. I wonder if we should do like the whole month of October, different topics regarding Star Wars Rebels.
Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4.
We could do that.
Yeah,
we could do that.
We might have to say, let's see. We might have to save Season 4 until after I get back from Salem.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because we're still going to Salem. So,
or we could do 3 and 4 on one episode.
Could do 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
that would work.
yeah, there you go.
Talk about it. But we know in October we're going to be doing some Star Wars Rebels.
We're going to do some Rebels recap.
Heck yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I did this week. I don't think so. I think that's it. Didn't eat at any new eateries. So not like the weekend prior where I ate a bunch of new food.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was my week. If you are new or if you're not new, we do have a YouTube channel, which you're probably watching us on now. So I'm not sure why I'm telling you that. But if you are not,
just in case you're on X or Facebook,
Yeah. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go subscribe. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit like and comment if you would like. We don't push that like button near as much because we don't get as many likes as we do views.
Actual views.
Yeah.
Or maybe people just don't like us enough to hit the like button. I don't know.
That's it. Well,
maybe that's it.
I mean, if you don't like it, hit the dislike. I don't know.
No, don't do that. Just go away. If you don't like it, just go away.
Don't watch. Subscribe, but don't watch. Anyway, so there's that. And then we do have, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a Patreon.
Which, speaking of Patreon and X-Men.
Say what now?
I said, speaking of Patreon and X-Men, if you like more X-Men and you want our rather elongated review of Deadpool and Wolverine, you can become a Patreon.
Oh, that's right.
And you can go on to our Patreon videos and you can see myself, Steve, and Nora talk about our review and what we saw and how much we liked Deadpool and Wolverine.
That is right.
If you would like to become a Patreon. And it will cost you the grand total of $2 a month. $2. And the only thing, and yeah.
Most of you are buying coffee that costs more than that every day.
Yeah, most of you are buying coffee every day that costs more than that.
Yeah.
And we are going to be adding more Patreon content. We've got, let's see, we need to do our Steve headlined Star Wars game that we need to start doing.
Yeah.
We need to get that going. We've got 4 players of us that are going to do it. And for those of you who don't know, Steve is going to be the game master, and I will be a pilot / scum of the galaxy smuggler in that game.
How's it going, Andrew?
Hey, Andrew. And we're going to start. I think we've already got one video up about that. Them trying to teach me how to play, who's never played D&D, who's never played a dice game before in his life. And it's hilarious to sit there and listen to me fumble through it.
Speaking of this game, how's it going, Mari?
Mari, hey!
Yeah, she will also be in our game. She is going to be playing a Zabrak Force Sensitive.
Force Sensitive, yeah.
And
Nora and...
That's a Darth Maul type character.
Yeah.
So, welcome back to Rebel Rock Radio, Mario. Yeah, so just as JD said, we're going to have lots of bonus content coming. So just for what's going on in the chat here, it's not actually D&D. It's a completely different gaming system.
I wouldn't know.
I think she's just saying Star Wars D&D to give people an idea that it is a role-playing game.
And speaking of which, Mariah, I'm glad you're here. You're going to want to see Show and Tell today.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Squirrel. What was I talking about?
We need to do song number.
Okay, so
Patreon.
We'll have all the bonus content, and as when you sign up, you do get a free sticker. Oh, actually, you'll get free stickers.
Stickers, plural.
We've got 3 different colors of stickers, and if you sign up, I'm going to show them as soon as I can get them pulled out here. you will get all 3 colors when you first sign up. You will get the red one. Pretty.
Yeah, pretty.
You will get the orange one, which was so graciously provided by Matthew.
Mr. Matthew.
And also provided by Matthew and or his wife is our new one, the blue.
The blue.
Oh, he sent you some too.
He sent me some too. Yeah.
So as soon as when you first sign up, you will get those, and then you'll get the bonus content. And if that's not enough, you will get a shout out on our live streams. So without further ado, I would like to give a shout out to our current patrons. Thank you to our patrons, Dave Brown, Kelly and Chris, aka Lunar Girl and Dragon Buddy, Justin Hensley, Charlie Kirby, Chantel, Matthew, and Steve, who I believe was in the chat room. I don't know if he is still there, but he's in the chat room or was in the chat room under Steve Spawn. Yeah. So thank you to all of our patrons for helping us keep the lights on. or the StreamYard running. I don't know how.
Or keeping us in StreamYard.
So again, if you are not part of the Patreon, it's only $2 a month, and you get some really cool stuff.
You get some really cool stickers. We got bonus content coming out, and some of the bonus content, like you said, may not be necessarily Star Wars. We may have some bonus content on other issues, other topics. And if you folks who are Patreons, if you would like to hear something from us, if even something as simple as a Q&A or some other topics that you would like to hear our opinions on, which is strictly our opinions, and that's something we tell everybody every time. This is strictly our opinion. This is strictly how we feel about things. This is strictly things from our perspective. We just hope that you enjoy. We hope you have a chance to listen, and we have a chance to entertain you. And if you are a Patreon and you would like to hear from us about some certain topic, we are more than happy to at least entertain whatever it is you folks would like to be a part of. And if you become a Patreon, you too will have that opportunity to give us some input.
Very cool. But yeah, we've got some more bonus content coming out. All right, it is time for another song. And then after that, we're going to have our show and tell time. So this next song comes to us from a band from Brooklyn, New York. And
back across the pond again?
On
this side of the pond?
So they put an EP out on the 8th, which was Thursday. Just this past Thursday. And the name of the EP was EP. And that came to us from, let's see, what was the name of the record label? Bloated Cat Records. Is that right? I think so. I think it's Bloated Cat Records.
As opposed to Smelly Cat Records.
Oh, I guess I should tell you. The name of the band is Hasty. Hasty. So we're playing a song from that EP, and the name of the song that we are playing is The Rent is Too Damn High. Here it is. Enjoy. Hopefully, JD, you'll be able to hear this one.
Yeah?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Damn technical difficulties.
Thinking of what you said, going through my head.
and that was Hasty with the width is too damn high.
Am I crazy, or does that like sound like a female version of Weezer?
A little bit. A little bit. All right, and with no further ado, it is show and tell time. Woo! All right. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, go ahead and go first.
Just as long as I think, I know this is probably going to spark another challenge of duel between myself and Mariah. I know it's going to happen. I already know. We're already up to like 3, so we're going to go probably 4 for 4 on some of my Darth Maul stuff. And if I actually showed her everything, we'd probably be up in the 20s somewhere. So I'm not taking this out of the box, so people don't ask me to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to show you this because it's just so damn cool. But so for those of you who I know what'd she say?
I like how many names you
Mariah, sorry. Is it Mari?
I think it's Mari.
Mari. Sorry, I keep saying Mariah. I don't know why I keep saying Mariah. Mari. Sorry, Mari.
I just call
I'm not doing it on purpose. Well, I mean, if she wants me to call her Frosty Britches, I guess. But I mean, I was trying to go with the first name, Mari. Sorry.
Darth Mari.
Darth Mari. Sorry. Don't shoot me. Anyway, so for those of you who don't know, there was a certain convention this last weekend, and they called it D23, which had a lot of news and announcements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I managed to get on the website in time to pick me up a little something from Hasbro Pulse. And so I snagged this weekend, or I actually snagged this, and it showed up a day or so ago.
Ooh.
In my nice little mailbox. Check that out. For those of you who can see.
Very cool.
Darth Maul and his Sith speeder with probe and dual lightsabers.
Yeah, he said probe.
And probe. Very nice.
Maury says, I already have that on the way from SDCC. All right, cool.
Oh, well, cool. Awesome. So I guess, yeah, okay, so I guess it wasn't D23. It was San Diego Comic-Con. Sorry. But, hey, Mari, I have mine already. I don't know if you can see that. I have mine already. So, yeah. So, there's my show and tell. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So, speaking of Darth Maul, I don't know if anybody has seen this, but I showed it to Darth Mari yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before. I'm about to pull it up here. And I just came across this on, it had to have been yesterday. I came across this on Amazon, and it's not available yet. It is available for pre-order. And can you see that?
Well,
this doesn't come out until October 2nd. And I just kind of happened to cross it, and Darth Mari asked me where I found it, and I showed it to her, and she's got it on pre-order. I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I don't know why I didn't hit that. I probably should go ahead and do it. But that's a cool looking little Darth Maul there.
That is pretty good looking.
I'm trying to figure out what is so special about this.
Probably the first one. Well, I would say it's probably one of the first Funko. I don't know. Now I'm just my speculation. But if you look at his lightsaber, it's actually probably one of the first ones that has the
double blade.
The double blade. But he has the part of the Sith Inquisitor lightsaber, and then the other one is the Shadow Collective. The other side is the Shadow Collective. I think. I'm pretty sure. If you zoom in on it, I mean.
So anyway, yeah, that's. It says the small is so schmexy.
Mm-hmm. That's actually funny enough. That's the one that he takes out in Solo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's the one he shows up with in Solo.
So yeah, so that comes out in October. Looking forward to that. But that was not my show and tell. My show and tell. This will also not be coming out of the box. In fact, I can't even see. Really, all I can see is the box. Okay, so this is what my show and tell is. It is a Black Series action figure.
Oh, look at that!
And it is Dr. Aphra.
Once you step into that. Once you step into that genre of the Black Series, you can't go away.
That's what the action figure, I'm assuming, looks like.
Yes. Okay, so let me explain a little bit of that to you, because I don't think that I have one close that I can show you the comparison between the two. Maybe I can later, but so for some reason, a few years ago, in their infinite wisdom, Hasbro decided that they wanted to use less plastic in their. They were trying to go a little bit more less carbon footprint, a little bit more green, and they wanted to use less plastic in their boxes and when they were sending people the figures and everything. So instead of having a plastic window, so like for instance for this, instead of having a plastic window, what they would have done is they would have put a cardboard cover over the top of it, and you wouldn't have seen the figure on the inside. You would actually have to open it up, and then the figure would be either kind of one of those zip tied or whatever down. They would be zip tied down, but there would be no plastic cover on the outside of it like this. Mm-hmm. And then I guess I don't know for sure what prompted it. If it was a lot of complaints from the consumers, if their toys stopped selling for a while, or really what the status was, or really the real reason why they decided to go back from it. But what you have is what the result was of getting rid of the plastic, which is the cardboard covers, where you get to see the figure, and you actually have to take the figure out in order to see the figure, which is kind of a bummer, because if you look at, like I said, I don't have any of the, I don't have, hang on a second.
Well, here's what the figure actually looks like.
Right.
So let me get that. So it looks like that. And yeah, we got a couple of different poses here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I got this one because Dr. Aphra is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. And I saw that one, and I was like, oh, I think I will buy that.
Because see, like here, this one I have here, I'll show this one to everybody. I have this too. I have all three of them. I have George Lucas, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau. This is the Jon Favreau one. This is from The Mandalorian, right here. And on the side of it, if you look on the side of it, they have really cool artwork on the side of each one of them. And what people wanted to do is they didn't want to take them out of the boxes. What they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to display them. But like this one, for instance, this is what you would see on some of the insides. Now you can see no plastic. It's just a figure, just like that. But putting this on the shelf like this, real long, is like unrealistic. Mm-hmm. So what aggravated people about it is that they couldn't just display their figures. Like for yours would have been a piece of plastic that you could just open the cover and then you could display the figure. But for like this one, for instance, this is what you get, like this, and then you close it, and all you really get to see is the artwork. You don't really actually get to see the figure. So Martha Murray was saying she only has one Black Series because I cannot possibly keep adding different collectible. Understood. I only have one other Black Series figure, and it's up here. It is strangely enough also related to Dr. Aphra, and it's Black Chrysanthemum. Now this one, because I'm an idiot, I actually took it out of the box. The plan was I was going to display him here, but then I was like, well, I still want the box because the box is cool. So right now, those are the only Black Series I have. I am thinking I may get the Boba Fett Black Series figure, but
But yes, the best Wookiee boy. He's best Wookiee boy. Yeah.
Remind me when I don't have any new stuff to show people, Steve. I have to show you something in my collection that is mucho expensive. You will like it very much. It came out. It was one of the very first Black Series pieces that ever came out. And yes, it has to do with Boba Fett.
Awesome. But yeah, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of Black Series stuff.
Now that line, the Black Series line, if you start collecting all of the Black Series line, you don't have enough room in your house. No. I'm running out of room because I have too much. I'm
probably just going to stick to the Funkos because I like the Funkos.
Yeah.
They're fun.
It's best if you're a Star Wars collector. That's the advice I would give people: is pick a line and go with it.
Yeah.
If you want the Black Series stuff, then pick it and go for it. If you want the Power of the Force 2 line, which came out a long time ago, pre-Disney, I would pick that and I would go with it. I would not try to do multiple unless you just have a basement that you're doing nothing with and you can put it everywhere.
But yeah, I got some good Funkos. I got the Thrawn that I got while I was up there with you. I got Hondo Anaka. I was thinking I want to get the entire crew of the Ghost, but that might have to wait because I was looking at the prices on those, like various websites, and they're kind of pricey. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I'm going to get the Ghost crew anytime soon. At least not in a box, because I want to keep them in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right. Well, that is our show and tell for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it about time for a third song?
It's time for our last song.
Yeah.
And we're getting to it before the hour is up. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Give me just 1 second. I actually want to see how long this next song is for reasons.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, it won't tell me. Oh, dang it. Okay. So I'm gonna play this song and yeah, we'll see. This song comes to us from a band based out of Worcester, Massachusetts. The name of the band is Hedge, Hedge. And they have an album coming out on August 22nd. And the name of that album is Better Days. It is also brought to us by Bloated Cat Records. And we are going to be playing the title track off of Better Days. So here it is, Better Days by Hedge. Where's the music? There we go. Days will be better than before. Moving on together with two a little more. Days will be better than before. Moving on together with two a little more. Today could be the best of your life. It just happens to fall on a Saturday. Gray clouds disappear from the sky. It just happens to follow anyway. Heaven, does it feel like the right time?
with two and a little more. Days will be better than before. We pull it all together with two and a little more. Days will be better than before. We pull it all together with two and a little more. Days will be better than before. We pull it all together with two and a little more. Oh, days!
All right. That was Hedge with Better Days, and it is time for part 2 of our Spirit of Star Wars series. Ba-bam! And what does that robe mean?
Hello there.
We are going to be talking about the Jedi. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you're just tuning in, our original plan was we were just going to do like a general overview of the Jedi, but we got really deep into our research, and there's a lot to say. So we decided to divide this episode into multiple episodes. Oh, there's Black Squadron. Hello there. So, we're going to talk about the origins of the Jedi. We are also going to share the responses. Should we do the responses first?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, I went out on social media and I asked, who is your favorite Jedi? We only got one voicemail, but we did get a lot of written responses. But I am going to go ahead and play the voicemail that we got. And this came to us from our patron and chat room character, Matthew.
Hey, fellas, this is Matthew in Enid. You want to know my favorite Jedi and why? Well, it's a pretty easy answer. My favorite Jedi will always be Luke Skywalker, the only one. The first time I laid eyes on him, I was almost 3 years old at the drive-in when Obi-Wan gave him his Anakin's lightsaber, and I was hooked, man. It's always Luke Skywalker. I just wish we could have got Luke Skywalker, some more Luke Skywalker from the Mandalorian days, the badass, kick-ass Luke Skywalker. But there's always hope. All right, take it easy, man. Bye.
All right.
Thank you, Matthew.
Matthew's favorite Jedi is Luke Skywalker. I'm not sure what you mean by that. CEO Star Wars, Funko Pop not unless see lot crazy price.
Probably because the Funko Pops have been so popular for a long time that they don't want to pay the overinflated prices for them.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jedi, and real quick side note, speaking of Jedi and like over crazy prices and being a collector myself, I see a lot of this. Yeah, squirrel moment. Yeah, if you got a drink, drink it. I see a lot of this. If you get online and you find something that you've ordered or something you've desperately wanted, it will aggravate the crap out of you because you will see a lot of people that have purchased those things as bots and put those things on like eBay for an absorbent, like 2 to 3 times the price of what they originally came out with. It's unfortunate that it's a thing that we all have to deal with in the collecting world. It always happens, and it's just something you're going to have to deal with. But the funny thing is during D23, they released a lightsaber collection from the Clone Wars, and it was Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka's lightsabers. And people bought them up just to turn around, put them on eBay, and try to sell them for ridiculous pricing, just because it was a collector's box, and because there was so few of them. And they actually had a thing where there was a certain amount, and I can't remember how many specifically, but there was a certain amount of them that were actually signed by the actors that they gave out, and it was a small number of them. And if they got a hold of them, it's even worse. So don't pay the over exorbitant prices of the scalpers. Just leave them alone, and eventually they'll come back down. They'll have to, because they won't sell them if nobody buys them. They won't be able to sell them for the prices they're trying to sell them for. So.
Yeah, so far the one that I've seen that is the most
My bathrobe.
His bathrobe. The one that seems to be quite pricey, at least as far as Ghost Crew goes, is Ezra Bridger. Some of the other ones are pricey too, but that one seems to be the high one.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to our Jedi responses. Okay, who is your favorite Jedi? And here are some of the responses that I got. Outfoxed Mulder said Quinlan Voss. The DJ Strong said Obi-Wan Kenobi. Rich Richmond said Qui-Gon Jinn. Ben Burkath, there's another Luke Skywalker. Danielle Price said Cal Kestis. John Strudel said Galen Merrick. Interesting. Jeff Reynolds.
Now,
said,
Steve, do you know who Galen Merrick is, right?
Oh yeah, Force Unleashed. Yeah,
Force Unleashed. Yep.
I know who that is. Jeff Reynolds said Kyle Katarn.
Now, depending on what path you chose in the game Force Unleashed, depending on whether it was dependent upon whether you were a Jedi or not.
Yeah. Dice and Caps listed 2. They said Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. Urcher72, that's a long screen name. Why would you do that? Mace Windu. Chris W. said Kit Fisto. Imperial Stargazer, another Obi-Wan. Plasmarotum, I don't know how to pronounce that, said oddball pick from me, but I'm not even sure I can pronounce that. It's Brand from the Dark Empire series. But he listed the whole name, and I can't pronounce that first name. We got another Qui-Gon Jinn. We got a Revan. Okay. And then Din Ara Dajarin said, I would say Ahsoka, but Ahsoka would say, I am no Jedi. So how about you folks in the chat? Who is your favorite Jedi? Jamie said Qui-Gon Jinn. Spencer said the Jedi are overrated.
We can't be friends.
But I guess his pick is Plo Koon.
Oh, he says underrated. He said he made an asterisk at the end. He said,
I think he meant Plo Koon is underrated. Is that right, Spencer? Or are you talking about the Jedi being overrated?
No, he said he meant the Jedi. He meant the Jedi.
I don't think he did.
Spencer, you meant the Jedi.
No. Steve Spawn said Yoda. Okay.
Yoda, yeah.
So I know who yours is. I'm pretty sure I know who. I'm 98% sure that yours is Qui-Gon Jinn.
Very much so.
Okay.
100%.
So I kind of have 2 picks because one of them, although yes, he was a Jedi, he is lesser known as a Jedi than as something else. And I'm referring to Anakin Skywalker. But if I don't count Anakin Skywalker, I would have to go with Kenobi.
We can count Anakin because Anakin was a Jedi. Vader was a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
So
I liked Anakin.
I mean, even though, I mean, you really can't even say they're one and the same person because they're really not. Because
yeah,
they're really not.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the origins of the Jedi, and why don't you show them your resource material? Because some of our resource material is the same.
Some of our resource material is the same. So one thing that we like to stress on the show is that we don't just go, I mean, even though we support and we like a lot of what Disney has done for Star Wars, their continuing content, They're Padawan Steve and Jedi Master JD.
Padawan. I'm a Sith Lord, dude.
He lingers in the dark side, where I choose to linger more in the light. That's just me, though. But anyway, for those, you know, there's a lot of people who we support what Disney does, and we support a lot of their content and a lot of what their creators have come up with as far as for Star Wars. But at the same time, we also do very much enjoy the EU. We refer to the EU in a lot of ways because we really liked a lot of the content from the EU, and it's from good source material until the new canon decides to come out with something new to update the canon, which we have absolutely no problem with on this show. I'm sorry if you do. That's your opinion. That's your right. But we here support both sides until otherwise discussed. So for us, we basically, for me, I know, and Steve, like I said, Steve used two different sources of material, or used one of the sources that we used together. So one of the sources that we came from for our study on the Jedi was this book here. It's called The Secrets of the Jedi. Right here is one of the books that we do. And the reason why I think we're showing these to you, the best reason we're showing these to you, is so that way if you choose to go in and you want to know more about the Jedi and more about their past, more about their history, and more about some of the things that we speak about, you're more than welcome to pick up these source materials. They're very good. They're very a very good way to look back on the Jedi and the different perspectives of the Jedi. And the other one that I like, this is pre-Disney Legends book that came out quite a while ago. And you can pick this one up as well. This is Star Wars Jedi versus the Sith, The Essential Guide to the Force. This is from 2007, so this is pre-Disney. There's a lot of Legends material in here. And just as a side note, I thought this was
pretty...
Can you
show me the cover again?
Sure.
Jedi versus... Okay.
Yeah. Something I thought was very...
To these... in the show description, so I'm not sure I can find them.
So I thought this was very interesting. I was actually thumbing through this, and I was looking through some of the information on this, and I came across a picture inside this particular book. And I thought this is something for those of you who are fans of the Acolyte, you like the Acolyte, you watch the Acolyte and kind of share our opinion that it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but you still liked it or you loved it, however you may look at it. I thought this picture was kind of funny. And I wanted to show this to everybody. This is kind of cool. This is from pre-Disney, pre-2000. This is from 2007, pre-Disney. And this is a picture that they included in this book from the Legends material, from the Legends source material. And I'll ask you, Steve, see if I can get that in the frame there. Who does that look like to you?
The one with the brown hair?
Yeah, the taller one.
I have no idea.
Does that not look like a young master or like a younger Master Soul?
Oh, yeah.
And this is before there was an Acolyte, before any of that stuff came up. And see, yeah. And Smirking Bear hit it right on the head. And so did Mari. So did Mari. Hit it right on the head.
Very good.
So it looks like Master Soul in the picture. And this is, like I said, this is way before Disney. This is before Acolyte was even thought of. But it was in this book, which I thought was kind of funny. It was kind of interesting.
Spencer has a question. I would say yes.
Yes,
yeah.
It is. It is. A lot of good. That one, that particular book does not have near the information that this book has in it as far as, but this is Legends material where this incorporates everything in the current canon.
Yeah. This is the book that I was perusing over last night that made me rethink the idea of trying to fit all this into one episode.
Yeah, and
because there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, for any of those of you who are worried about it, i.e., Darth Mari, this book, or I have a duplicate of this book for the Book of the Sith. I will be referring to this book as Jedi versus the Sith, and there is a Secrets of the Sith book just like this that you can also peruse.
I actually do have that one. It's sitting over there somewhere.
Right over there. So we will be referring to those materials as well for our discussion on.
And yeah, I will have links to all 3 of these books in the show description.
Yes. The Jedi Path is awesome. It's a great book. I highly recommend. I like this piece of material here has everything in it that you will need. But as I showcased last week when we did our discussion on the Force, this little gem here is pretty awesome if you like them. There's one for the Jedi, there's one for the Sith, there's one for the Bounty Hunters, one for the Empire, Rebels, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But these are really cool because this particular one, when you open it up, it's the same book, but when you open it up, you actually get, there's bonus materials in here. There's a map of the Jedi Temple in Coruscant. There is also a note from Luke Skywalker himself in there. You also have scattered throughout the book, you have different kinds of things like little patches that you can get inside of it and just a bunch of little extra things that can come out of it. Just a little napkin. And let's see what else. There's a couple other things in here. There's some pages that look like they've been torn out, but Luke Skywalker gives a little memorandum about it. And let's see what else. There's a couple other things in here. There's little gems scattered throughout the book. It's really cool. Oh, I dropped a coin. Hang on. And I dropped you can actually take this. This is kind of cool. You can actually take this and turn it into a necklace if you wanted to. So kind of cool.
So yeah, I've got this one, Secrets of the Sith. But I also have a book like this that is for the bounty hunters. But for some reason, I have no idea what I did with it.
Squirrel.
Very odd. Very, very odd indeed.
Okay. I love it. I love you guys. I love this robe. This is part of my cosplay robe. For anybody who doesn't know, I cosplay Jedi, and I will be doing that again in Japan when we go to Japan. But right now I'm barbecuing, so I'm going to have to ditch the robe. I'm literally sitting here like sweating.
Very strange. But yeah,
because it's heavy. It's a heavy robe.
Path book, but it's bounty hunters. What the hell did I do with it?
That's right, that's right, Smirking Bear. I got the Sacred Jedi text. I got all of it. And oddly enough, too, going back to our last week's discussion, I noticed this too, is something else I was going to bring up in this book here. Where is it? Right there. Referring to the Rakata in the Jedi in the timeline.
Yep.
They are a part of this book as well. So
yeah. So the origins of the Jedi.
Well done right now, Smirking Bear. Well done. I'm roasting.
Yeah.
I love my Jedi robes, but it is so hard to wear anytime in the summertime. I can't do Comic-Cons with it in the summertime because that plus all the layers that I have to wear for the entire Jedi outfit is insane. It's very heavy and it's very hot.
Origins of the Jedi are going to be they're going to be different depending on if you're looking at Legends or canon.
Well, and you know what? I wouldn't even say different. I would say that a lot of the information regarding the origins of the Jedi have not insanely been established when it comes to, right. The actual origins of the Jedi have not been insanely established when it comes to current canon. I mean, we have some information.
James Mangold films comes out because
that's supposed to be something about the dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rumor. We don't know that for sure.
Right. So speaking of Dawn of the Jedi, a lot of the history of the Jedi come from that comic book series.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I may have mentioned this last week, but there were these big giant pyramid-shaped ships
Mm-hmm.
that traveled the galaxy finding Force-sensitive people. So they went to various planets, Kashyyyk, Onderon, a bunch of different planets. They went all over the galaxy. And they picked up these Force-sensitive people and brought them all to the planet Tython. And it was here on Tython that they learned to we talked about this yesterday. You don't use the Force, you access it. How to access the Force to perform great feats. How to attune yourself to the Force. And it was here where the Jedi were originally called the Jedi. It was Jedai, something like that.
Yeah, it was a long. Yeah, it was long.
And it was here that they basically started the Jedi Order. I'm sure you have more to say about the origins. But yeah, I've got a lot of there.
I sent you. I think I sent you something. Yeah, I sent you something on Discord.
Okay.
So that way people can get a. But it's just I know
you can.
This is off subject just a little bit, but this is. I'm the big guy in the middle for anybody who doesn't know. I'm the big guy in the middle. This is what my Jedi robes. Some of my Jedi robes look like. And this was
picture. Okay, I thought we were
the picture. Yeah, it's a picture. It's a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
nothing to do with the origins of Jedi. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's just me and my Jedi robes. For those who are wondering why I'm sweating so bad, it's the middle of the summer, and you can see why I would be sweating because this is what I normally would wear. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm the big guy with the very big beard.
Yeah, that looks like that's very hot.
It is hot. It is very hot.
But yeah, well, why don't you continue the discussion of the origins of the Jedi? I don't have to go. There's a lot going on, man. There's
oh my God, there's so much going on.
Equally with the Sith. I mean, the Sith, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I mean, you could get into that discussion on this one technically because, when the Jedi started out in the Legends canon, the lightsabers that we know that they have today started out as power packs were backpacks and they had cords attached to their lightsabers. Mm-hmm. And, if you follow the current canon, which we don't know incredibly much about, it started out with the Prime Jedi who achieved balance in the Force. And in the canon series, they somewhere along the way, they lost their way and they divided. Now, we don't, like I said, we don't know. We're assuming that the James Mangold film that's coming out is going to talk more about that in the canon. And I think a lot of people are hoping that they bring at least some of what was Legends into the canon to kind of, to kind of go over that kind of stuff and to talk more about it and that kind of thing. And, God, there's so much. Where do you start? So
Tython
Proto Sabers, yes, exactly. Yes, Smirking Bear, yes. What's that?
For purposes of Legends, because I don't know a whole lot based on canon, Tython is really where it all began.
Mm-hmm.
It's where all these Force-sensitive creatures were brought together. It's where they started the Jedi Order. Mm-hmm. It's Tythons were now, if I'm remembering right, it's been a while since I played the game. But in the video game, the MMO RPG game, Tython is heavily featured in that game.
Which one? I can't remember which one it was.
The MMO RPG, the Old Republic. Star Wars,
Old Republic. Okay. The Old Republic. Okay. Now, just for reference, I never played that game, so.
Okay. So Tython is where we first get our Jedi Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And they first build kind of the structure of the Jedi Order. And this is where they sent Jedi out into the rest of the galaxy. But yeah, so I guess you really can't talk about the origins of the Jedi without talking about like why they came together.
Well, so I think one of the things we have to talk about that doesn't get talked about enough, and I don't think kind of one of the things that George Lucas, I think, kind of stressed a little bit they didn't talk enough about in like the new canon was midichlorians.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really it kind of starts there. I mean, because the midichlorians was what obviously Qui-Gon Jinn described them as microscopic organisms that live within us. Symbiotic beings that live within us, that enhance that allow us to speak to the Force, that allow us to hear the will of the Force, and allow us to communicate with the Force, and basically is the source of what, in some ways, gives the Jedi their ability. Now, a lot of it is training, a lot of it is going over, a lot of it is training, is discipline, is meditation, and things like that. But without the midichlorians, without speaking about the midichlorians specifically, you really couldn't really start to understand how that came, that's really kind of, I think a lot of it, that is where it starts, is that identifying people who have this connection. And, it most likely was one of those things where, like you said, how these people come together is recognizing that you have abilities, and then recognizing that in order to harness those abilities, you have to have training, you have to have development. And where the Jedi came in is that they wanted to ensure that people who had these abilities were able to use them for develop them and use them for good. But there was also kind of a, how do we say it? Not really a checks and balances kind of thing, but just ensuring that people were, getting the training that they needed in order to use them in ways, because they realized how powerful that connection was because of the midichlorians.
Mm-hmm.
They realized how much could be drawn from that, how much power, and what the implications of that power was. And so in my understanding of it is, from what I've read and everything, is that the Jedi came together first as a group of people who recognized that this is something that needed training, it needed development, needed discipline, and it needed a system of keeping it in balance and keeping it in control. So that way a person didn't become, didn't fall to what we would know now today as the dark side.
Yes.
So, I mean, really, you can't discuss it in the old canon, the new canon, or in any of the movies that are that are the actual movies that we talk about. You have to talk about the midichlorians. We have to talk about how they influence all that. And then if you want to talk about the new canon, it's the Prime Jedi. But like I said, we don't know a lot about them yet. We don't know a lot about what their role was. We don't know a lot about their origins, how they came together. I mean, it could be very well that we see like characters like Ahsoka Tano, who has kind of achieved the balance in between. And then you're starting to talk about, but I mean, if you talk about her, she's not technically a Jedi, but she still emulates and still brings forth those qualities of a Jedi. So if you talk about the Prime Jedi, I would like to think that the Prime Jedi were something more of someone along the lines of, say, Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. but it was always about recognizing that they had the ability to do something, that they were able to tap into these powers that they didn't consider natural, and finding out what it was, researching it and figuring out how it works and how to train people to use it, for more of a disciplinary reason, or for more, not disciplinary reason, that's the wrong word, for more of a for more of a thing, and or for more of a, how do I want to say this, for using it in ways that wouldn't bring harm to other people, I guess would be the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, there's been information within Legends that has a lot of information, as far as where they see it from. But as far as the current canon, we haven't seen a lot of that information. And I really hope that they do explore that a little better, and they do come into that a little better, because I think it'll be good to see that from that perspective, to give people an idea of who the Jedi are and what they're about, and what they're really about, what their core values were, and how they developed into the time period that we know them in, including the High Republic, including the time of the Clone Wars and afterwards and stuff like that, and some of the stuff that Luke Skywalker was trained on and things like that.
Okay, so to talk more specifically about how they all got together. So there were 8 of these ships, these pyramid things, which were called the Tho-Yor. There were 8 of them. And they went out and got all these different species of Force-sensitive individuals, brought them to Tython, and they brought it to Tython because Tython was immensely strong in the Force,
which is, I think, if I've heard correctly, one of the first examples of a vergence in the Force.
Right. And so they got together, they meditated on the Force, and they got more in tune with it. And then they put together the first Jedi Order. And the word Jedi, if you don't already know this, is actually a combination of 2 words from a language that was, I don't want to say invented. it's the language of the Dai Bindu monks.
Mm-hmm.
And Bindu, ooh, that's a word we've heard before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a combination of 2 words. It's Je, which means mystic, and Dai, which means center. So on Tython, they spent a lot of time tuning into the Force, and essentially their original, I don't want to use the word goal, but originally the whole idea of what they were trying to do is achieve balance. They wanted harmony and balance. There were 2 forms of the Force, or is it 2 aspects of the Force? One called Osla, which was the light side,
mm-hmm.
and Bogon, which was the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And they were named after Tython's 2 moons.
Mm-hmm.
And so their whole thing was they wanted to prevent imbalance. And so thousands of years go by and all this, and the Jedi Order, they build temples, and these temples were each built around where. So okay, let me back up a little bit. So these pyramid ships, once they dropped these people off on Tython, they went out again into different parts of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So they, yes, Smirking Bear, the Bindu from Rebels. That's what,
mm-hmm.
yeah. And so they built these temples around where these Tho-Yor ships went. They established academies and temples and established the, I guess you could say, the organization of the Jedi Order. And then, they basically their whole purpose, once the Galactic Republic kind of came into being, because the Jedi Order actually predates the Galactic Republic.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Jedi Republic, or the Galactic Republic, comes along, and the Jedi are basically the I don't want to say the warriors, because they weren't really warriors. They were
more just like a monk that we would think of today.
Yeah, they're
basically, it was just about wisdom. It was about trying to understand what it was happening, to try to understand where things were going for them. What it was trying to understand how the Force worked, and exactly what it is they were dealing with, and why they had these abilities.
I remember the term that I was trying to think of. They were guardians.
Guardians, yeah.
So they were guardians of peace and harmony and justice and all that stuff in the Galactic Republic.
In the Galactic Republic, but before that, they didn't start out that way.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. I mean, when they originally started, when they started on Tython, it was about meditation. It was about gaining wisdom. It was about strength. It was about learning what their powers meant. It was about finding others who had like-minded, who had the same abilities, and trying to bring them together to study it and things like that.
Like you said, they were basically monks.
They were basically monks. That's all they were. They were basically monks.
And they didn't really get into the warrior thing in a large scale until they were invaded by the Rakutans, Infinite Empire, and so that's where they first. And now there were skirmishes here and there, but they didn't really get into large scale any kind of war until that invasion happened. And then they became warriors. But when the Galactic Republic comes around, they basically became the guardians and kind of.
They decided to take on a more proactive role of being, the Force protector. Starting to get into that role of being Force protectors, like you would know.
Right.
Like we would start to see them today. Not maybe the same thing, but they started to use those abilities to protect people because they knew people like the Rakuten and other factions were trying to seize the galaxy and establish an empire. And they saw the injustice that was being done and the greed and everything. And they decided to act upon that, which was the start of their role as warriors of peace and justice in the galaxy.
And kind of like mediators, like they were there to broker peace if there was any kind of conflict or disputes or anything like that.
And I think, if I remember correctly, you have to keep in mind too, this was also something that was going on before their codes, before any of that actually was kind of established, like permanently, before they actually knew what they wanted to do, before they had to do it. And I think a lot of that came, which we'll get into, a lot of it came after the origins of a darker version of the Jedi of the time.
Right. So you had these dark warriors that were
they felt like they needed to be
the antithesis of calm and justice and peace. And they felt
like their role in keeping peace and justice was more because of their abilities. They felt like they should take a more prominent role, and they, instead of being, like you said, negotiators and mediators, they wanted to be more of lay down the law kind of thing.
They wanted to be like warlords.
Yeah.
They wanted to be in charge. They wanted power.
They wanted power. They wanted to tell people what to do and how to live.
They wanted to be
without actually being over them.
Right. So they wanted to be in charge, whereas the Jedi didn't want to be in charge. They just wanted to be there to help people. And so
they felt like some of them felt like they stood above other people,
right,
because of their abilities.
And that's where we got this schism between dark warriors and the light side warriors. And so there was something else I wanted to say. I'm looking through my notes here. Where is it? And so I don't think if I'm remembering my reading, they didn't really create a Jedi Council until the time of the Galactic Republic, if I'm remembering right.
I think if you look at Legends, no, because they had a council during the High Republic. So in the current canon material, they had a council.
Right. No, I'm saying that I don't think that the Jedi High Council, I don't think that predated the Galactic Republic. Maybe it did. I don't know.
I'm trying to think back to, and it might not have been mentioned very much.
Some sort of council.
Well, I think there was, because if we're following like Legends, so if we go through Legends material, I'm pretty sure in Knights of the Old Republic they did say something about the Jedi Council, because part of the story.
It was still the Republic.
Well, that was the Old Republic, though.
Well, when I say Galactic Republic, I'm talking about the Old Republic too. Like
okay.
Republic in general.
I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah.
That I don't know. That I don't know now, because like I said, Old Republic. I think they mentioned them.
I think Bear is actually correct here. I think that might have been what I read. Is that there wasn't really a council. There was just masters in charge of individual temples.
Right. Because the pyramids. The ships would create the temples, they would recruit, and then you would have somebody that would stay behind to be a master to guide those, the people that they found to be, so that would be correct. Now, like I said, I don't remember there being an actual reference in Legends or the other as when the Jedi decided to formulate a council. I don't remember.
I don't remember in my reading. The time that the Republic happened.
Yeah.
Be it old or,
So just so people know, like I said, we do refer to Legends materials and canon material at the same time for both, and we try to stress which one is which. But the thing that I always have trouble with is that when I read stuff, it's making sure that I'm saying something that is Legends, and something that is current canon is current canon. So that way we don't get them confused. So that way people understand that I may say something that refers to Legends material but is not current canon, so that way they don't get confused and go, wait a minute, I thought that was legit. Depending on how you look at it, it can be. If you like Legends materials and that's what you like and that's what you want to refer to, I'm perfectly fine with it. Like I said, we use it to fill in the gaps.
Well, when we're talking about Jedi in general, and when we get to talking about the Sith in a future episode, to me, and this is just my opinion, the history of these two groups, at least in Legends, is a little bit more interesting.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, Legends has more established lore, because I'm literally sitting here. I'm sitting here. I read through this, and I'm literally sitting here rereading a lot of the information that came from this simple timeline of some of the major events that affected both the Jedi and the Sith during during that time.
And you got to understand, like you said earlier, there is more information in Legends than there is as canon about the histories.
Okay, so here's something interesting, and I this is the reason why I pulled this back up, and I wanted to read this to everybody. Okay, so in this book, in this particular book, this is the Jedi versus the Sith. Okay, right. So it says in 24,500 BBY, which is before the Battle of Yavin, for those of you who don't know, which if you're watching this and you don't know what we mean, I don't know, I can't help you. So anyway, that was the first Jedi Schism as far as Legends is concerned. The first Jedi Schism happened at that time. And in 7003 BBY is the next event that is listed in this timeline, and it says the Second Great Schism, and it says Dark Jedi declare themselves free of the Jedi Council. So that is that's a large stretch. I mean, that's quite a stretch between the two of them. I mean, we're talking over 10,000 years between the two of them. But somewhere between the first and the second schism is when they developed a Jedi Council over that. But this is after like, you know, the certain Jedi rebelled from the Order. They separated from it because they had different views on what the Order should be, and so on. And then at some point, they developed a council so they could better manage all of the areas of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if the other book establishes that as well. I can't remember if I read something in there about that. Let's see. Timeline. Here we go. Okay. Hang on a second here. Let me look a little bit here. Yeah, so it doesn't really, in the new canon, which is this here, it doesn't really establish, hey, Zombie Hunter, it does not really establish when the council was actually, it does not actually establish when the Jedi Council was actually first formed in either of these two references.
Okay. Well, it looks like that might be something that we will need to do some heavier research on in preparation for probably next week, when I think next week we'll probably talk more about the council and when we get to talking about the Jedi path. Path, because that's probably I think next week is going to be the Jedi path and Jedi training, which the path may take up the whole episode. I don't know. It depends on, I don't know. Maybe we can cover both of those. But moving back into history, I want to step back from a term that I used. The Galactic Republic, because I just looked this up, is actually a generic term. It's not just referring to
the Senate and all that.
Yeah. So the Galactic Republic existed from 25,000 BBY until 19 BBY, which is the Republic that we know. But yeah, so basically the Galactic Republic is the blanket term for all of it. So Old Republic, High Republic, all of those terms, eras that we use, they all fall under the auspices of Galactic Republic.
And we don't know, when they formed either. So where do they correlate with the Jedi and the origins of the Jedi? We're not sure about that either. So, I mean, there might be some information out there. Maybe there's something we're missing, but I mean, we're concentrated more on the Jedi for these purposes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, we could spend really like looking at some of the stuff that we have been researching.
Mm-hmm.
The Jedi just by itself, we could probably do a couple of months worth of episodes on. Because there's a lot of stuff.
There's so much. I mean, the establishment of forms, the different types of powers, how they're used.
You've got the different sex of the
Jedi, not sex for you people that have a dirty mind.
Yeah. sects.
Yeah.
For instance, you got and I'm not sure if you call this a sect, but an offshoot of the Jedi are the Gray Jedi.
Which? Let me add a caveat to that. As far as the Gray Jedi are concerned, the Gray Jedi have never been established really in either Legends or the current canon. There's never been such a thing as a Gray Jedi. Now, there's been people who fall under the definition of a Gray Jedi who would be considered someone in the middle, i.e., people like Ahsoka Tano's name's been thrown out there as being part of the Gray Jedi. But I don't think that in Legends or canon, I don't think there was ever a actual establishment of a Gray Jedi.
There is a sect. There we go. There is a sect of Jedi called the Gray Paladins.
Now, what was that? What was the reference for that?
Let's see. We've got
because there's been some fan-made information out there about it. But like I said, I know for certain in the current canon they do not recognize Gray Jedi.
So I'm trying to find out if this is a book or not. This is this has to be a book called Coruscant Nights. And there are 3 parts. The first part is called Jedi Twilight. The second part is called Street of Shadows. And the third is called Patterns of Force. These were written by a guy named Michael Reeves. And looks like they were published in around 2008-ish. But those are the books where they reference the Gray Paladins. So according to what I'm reading here, the Gray Paladins were they were force sensitive, and they believed in the Jedi Order, but they were not as tied to the Jedi Order or the High Council as the actual Jedi.
So they were never actually. So they call them the Gray Paladins, but they were never officially confirmed as being like Gray Jedi, for instance.
Well, that I don't know because I haven't read the books.
Okay.
But it seems like they were Jedi from what I'm reading here on Wikipedia. They were basically Jedi that didn't tie themselves to the Jedi Order. So kind of like Ahsoka.
Well, I mean, they could be. It could be the same thing as, like, say, the Night Sisters of Dathomir not being Sith.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, kind of the same track. They were never actually Jedi. They were never affiliated with the Jedi, and they never called themselves Jedi. They were just called Gray Paladins. They were ones who lived kind of both in the fringe between, like, the Jedi and the Sith.
Bear.
What? Oh, God.
Sex sounds interesting and fun.
Sex, SECTS, I believe.
And then he says, I'm not sure what this was referencing. Allah Secura can always dominate me, and I'll submit willingly.
Oh, God.
Good boy.
I said sex, and everybody's mind. I spelled it, and everybody's mind went weird.
Sect. Okay.
Sect.
Yeah.
A Jedi sect.
The point being, the Jedi more or less started on Tython, and then they merged out, and then the Republic happened, and they became kind of intertwined with the Galactic Republic, but originally not necessarily as an army.
Not as an army, and not directly working for the Republic.
They were like advisors.
They were advisors, and they worked in cooperation with the High Republic. They used them as a source of information, but they did not fall under the jurisdiction of the High Republic, and they basically did their own thing, which is why you have books like The Living Force, where Qui-Gon Jinn talks about them moving away from what their original idea was, where their origins actually came from.
Yeah.
Which was keepers of peace and justice, and not being not being soldiers, not being a part of an army, not doing any of that stuff.
Right. And even in the High Republic, you see outside of the conflict with the Nihil, and probably more in the Phase 2 section of High Republic, which is before the Nihil come along. You see a lot of that, the Republic kind of asking the Jedi Council to send Jedi to mediate disputes.
Mm-hmm.
And so even during, at least in Phase 2 of the High Republic, you still see that kind of activity being done by the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you get into the threat of the Nihil, and then moving forward, you start to see them more. They're getting more political. They're getting more militant, and one could argue that that's kind of where the downfall of the Order began.
Mm-hmm. When they became more part of the political process rather than
they lost their focus.
When they lost their focus, when they lost the origins of who they were.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And something we can't forget to mention too is that throughout the history of the Jedi, most of this information was always contained within holocrons.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who don't know who holocrons are, they're data cubes that kept the history of the Jedi Order, and you see them pretty prominently throughout the whole thing. And they established holocrons pretty early to record their history and make sure that their origins was always remembered. Throughout, from the very beginning to up into what we see them during the Galactic Civil War, being hunted down, and then finally the origins of people like Luke Skywalker and things like that.
Holocrons were interesting little devices.
I have a few of those.
And we didn't really see a whole lot about holocrons in the original trilogy. If any at all, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time I heard of a holocron was in the comic books. The old Legends Expanded Universe comic books. I think that's the first time.
I'm trying to think. I'll be honest with you. I can't even remember the last time or where I actually heard the holocrons for the first time. I don't remember for sure. I want to say I've seen it in Legends materials, or I actually saw it in one of these. When I was reading through it, they started talking more specifically about the holocrons and what they were. But the first prominent use of one, I think I saw, I want to say Clone Wars.
Yeah. The more I think about it, have we seen a holocron in live action?
No. We've seen the Sith. We've seen the Sith Wayfinder.
Yeah, that's not a holocron. I don't.
That's not a holocron. Which squirrel. That was one of my biggest complaints about that is it should have been a Sith holocron, not a Sith Wayfinder.
Yeah.
It should have been just a Sith holocron. It would have made much more sense if it was just a Sith holocron. But I digress. That's neither here. That I digress.
That, I think that's a very good point because the holocrons were very prominent in the Clone Wars. The holocrons were prominent in Rebels quite a bit.
Yeah,
they had a whole story arc about trying to find a specific holocron.
and then the one where you actually see Obi-Wan's message come out.
Right.
Yes, and I actually have one in the other room that has that very message in it. Huh?
Holocrons were very prominent in animated.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder why in the sequel trilogy they didn't.
Bye, Spencer.
Bye, Spencer. I wonder why they did not feature the holocrons. Hang on. Did we? Nope, we didn't see holocron in any of the TV shows either. The live action TV shows.
I'm trying to think. There was not one in Obi-Wan.
No.
Rogue One didn't have one. Obviously, Solo didn't have one. Mandalorian didn't have one. Ahsoka did not have one. I don't think we've seen one. The Acolyte did not have one. Huh. The only thing I can think of that even came close was the Sith Wayfinder in Rise of Skywalker, and the only other thing that and it wasn't even really a holocron. The only thing that came even close was that orb that Sabine translated for Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series, but that wasn't even a holocron.
Again, not a holocron though, but
not a holocron. Not a holocron.
Very odd. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Bear. It was a Wayfinder.
Yeah, it was a Sith Wayfinder, which, like I said, I wish they'd just call it a holocron. That would have been much easier.
Yeah, should have just called it a holocron.
But I mean, going back to the origins, the fact that we got Tython, in speaking of live action, the fact that we got Tython in live action, which is the Legends origin of the Jedi Order, and where the Dark Jedi and the original Jedi split company eventually. Before in the original iteration of the Jedi, it's promising because I'm hoping that becomes a point of concentration for the James Mangold movie.
That's right. Isn't that the planet where Grogu?
Yeah, he was sitting on top of the orb. Well, okay, so he was sitting on top of the orb. He didn't do anything, and then all of a sudden he started communing with the Force. Mm-hmm. And while he was communing with the Force is where you got the battle of Boba Fett, Fennec Shan, and the Mandalorian against the Troopers.
And that's where we got the Razor Crest.
That was Tython. That was Tython. What I've read, from what I have read, the shrine that he was sitting on is one of the original spots where the first convened what would later become the Jedi.
So then that brings up a question that I did not bother researching.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Because I'm a moron. Where does...
There's so much, though. There's so much we could go over.
Where does Octo come in play? You know what I'm talking about?
Refresh my memory. I know what you're talking about, but
where Luke disappeared to?
Oh, Acto Island. Sorry, Acto Island.
Yeah. So like.
Okay. So there's where Legends and New Canon separate. Because now I don't think that has ever actually been established as far as now, and that might be in this book. I don't know. That might be in this book. That might be something I didn't get far enough to read. But he described the thing on the floor as being a symbol of the Prime Jedi. Now, how that fits into the lore and the legend of Acto Island is something that's going to be probably released in future. Is probably going to be released in future medium, maybe possibly even addressed in the Jedi, because it could be one of those things where it's a separate sect of the Jedi Order went to Octo Island, because Octo Island could be one of those places where they decided to establish a Jedi colony, train Jedi on the island, and they were part of it.
So, hang on. Wikipedia Wikipedia says that it is the birthplace of the Jedi Order. So it is in direct conflict with the Tython history, the Legends history.
Right, but the thing about it is we don't know. We're not sure how current canon is going to use Tython, because they could say, now this is how they could do it, because the birthplace of the actual Jedi Order, as opposed to where Force-sensitive people came together to study the Force, could be Tython, but where the Jedi Order was established and where they started their training could be Octo Island, where they actually came together.
That could be.
See you, zombie. That's okay. We're up to 2 hours now, and we could keep going, but we're probably going to have to cut it off and pick this back up where we left off.
We're going to wrap things up here. I'm just trying to figure out this one point. So in Wikipedia, it says the Jedi Order was founded on planet Octo by
Octo.
And then when you click on the little number next to it, it says that their reference is this book here, Star Wars
Timelines. I think I have that too.
So that is what I'm trying to find right now. If I look in the index, here we go. Okay.
I'm going to look and make sure I've got that book, because I'm not sure if I have that book or not.
Yeah, I haven't even read all of this because there's a lot of shit in here.
Yeah.
The Jedi Order is founded in 25,025 BBY. Among the earliest locations, doesn't say that it is the first location, and likely the first. The first temple. The first temple is constructed on the planet of Octo. And that is where they hold the most treasured Jedi text and earliest writings on the Order's faith.
So Tython could be just a place where they all came together, and then Octo Island or Octo, or however you want to pronounce it. It could be actual first temple, the actual first place they establish a temple, out of the way to practice and train new members of the Order.
Yeah.
But this, this could be something that could be established later in a new movie.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything that movie has been scrapped.
No, to my knowledge, it hasn't.
But, I mean, just for me, out of all of the movies that have been announced and are potentially going to come out, that is actually the one that I am most interested in.
Yeah, I would really like to. So I say this. I really want to see how they do that, and if how much of the origins of the Jedi is going to be new information, and how much of it they're going to incorporate the Legends material.
Yeah.
How that if they decide to meld that together, or do they go a completely different direction? I mean, I think it would be kind of stupid for them not to include a lot of the old history, because now that we know that Legends versions of different Jedi and Sith are now canon.
Yeah. So,
not necessarily in a huge way, but they're at least mentioned that they did exist.
Yes.
So now
I
we
really
just
hope that they incorporate a lot of the Legend stuff.
Yeah, I hope they do too.
So Jamie Lee brought up an interesting point. He says that I reckon a series would bring that into play. I could see, and then Bear kind of bounced off of that. I think a series would benefit.
Yeah, and it needs to be hour-long episodes and like 24 of them.
Yeah.
To really give it a chance to sink in, to get a chance to cook.
I would almost prefer a series over a movie.
I would say a good series, 1 or 2 part series, and and then do a movie about the first schism or the first Jedi War.
That's what I'm. So yeah, Jamie. That's the point we're making here. They couldn't explain it all in the movie.
Yeah, and I personally
to answer this question, we're talking about the origins of the Jedi, but right now we're kind of pigeonholed in a how are they going to talk about the origins of the Jedi in this upcoming, whenever it might be, Dawn of the Jedi movie? Are they going to incorporate?
And we're getting to the point where we're wrapping up the origins part of it, and we're going to do another series next week on some more facts and different things about the Jedi. But we have to move into history and current history of the Jedi when we move into these next parts. So this kind of gives us kind of a baseline from our perspective and the research that we've done to show from Legends and canon perspective where the Jedi started from. And we can even do more information on that next week when we incorporate more information that comes out. But we're trying to stick, for the most part, stick to the origins and where they came from.
Right. So tonight was origins. Next week, our main kind of subtopic under the Jedi sub series. I don't know.
Spirit to start our Jedi. Now we're going into the sub series of the Jedi and.
The Jedi Path, I think, is what the name of it will be, because we're going to talk a lot about the path a Jedi takes. And then a lot of that, we're going to start incorporating the Jedi Council and whatnot. And then if we can get to it, we will include some information about a Jedi's training. We'll get to that, Jamie. We'll get to that. We got to get done with the Jedi first.
Yep, we're going to talk about the Sith. We're going to do the Jedi. We're going to do the Sith.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We definitely will get to that, buddy.
But yeah, next week is going to be the Jedi Path, and we'll talk about some training if we can get to it, and then maybe the next week after that will be Sith. Depends on how much we can get through next week.
Sith rules. JD knows that. No, I don't know that. The Jedi rule.
I know that. I know that, Jamie.
Nope. Jamie, if you try to convince me of that, I will be shooting you in the face. Just saying.
All right. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. And if you haven't already, make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Make sure you smash that like button.
Yes, smash that like button. And if you are so inclined, please go join our Patreon. It's only $2 a month. And you get the bonus content, which there is some new bonus content on there. And there's more coming. And come back next week where we will continue our discussion about the Jedi. And that's it. You got any final thoughts, JD?
The Force will be with you always.
Yes. May the Force be with you. Look at me. See you next week.